Okay, we are live here. First edition of the Windshield Deep podcast. I'm your co-host, Dylan Wilson. This is my friend and co-host, Landon Huffman. And we're here today to, just talk about the good stuff. Racing, all sorts of other things. Kind of give our insight on some stuff and some, some just random stuff here and there. What do you think? What are we going to talk about today?
We got a lot of good stuff coming. Like Dylan said, welcome to the first episode. We're new at this, so bear with us a little bit. This is going to be fun, though. We got a lot of crap to talk about. Some good stuff, some stuff that's probably not going to be that important to you. Some stuff may be completely useless, so like I said, bear with us. Most of y'all that are watching, you're probably, or listening, you probably already know who we are, so there's not much for us to tell you.
Yeah, Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma, Mom, my girlfriend, everybody else. But, what we're going to cover on here, like Dylan said, we've got a lot to cover. Through this entire podcast, we're going to try to hit NASCAR, obviously. And then we've got other sports, just stuff happening, news. We've got gaming. We're big into gaming. We're going to hit a lot on that. And then, just the happenings around the world. So I guess we're just going to start right into it here. What do you say, Dylan?
And I think a good start would be is how bad Harvick kicked everybody's ass this past weekend.
I know, man.
It was something special.
You know what's
never seen anything. There's not been many races where someone's dominated that much. I mean, he didn't have a 25-second lead like back in the old days, but
no, I mean
nowadays that's a big lead, 8 seconds, and that was unreal to me. I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean Harvick's phenomenal at Atlanta, which is crazy. That what was crazy to me is this is his first win since 2001. The first win after Big E passed, which is wild because he's dominated there, week in and week out, year after year.
I didn't even know that at all.
Me either. I'm sitting here thinking
he's always up front there.
I think this guy owns this track, and he's only won here one time, since 2001, which is obviously this year. But, he wore their ass out, man. Like, he ran the bottom there like nobody else. And what's crazy to me is the way he was getting out of the throttle, coasting through the corner, he was letting out just past the flag stand at the end of the quarter mile, and coasting all the way through the corner. And then when he get back on the throttle, he was quarter throttle. He was quarter throttle all the way through the corner until it was like, well, all right, I guess I'm straight now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put the hammer down. And I guess it just took care of his stuff. But not only was Harvick good, but how about how buns the Chevrolets were?
Yeah, that was surprising. That was honestly, I wasn't expecting that. Coming from Daytona, I thought that Chevrolet has a good super speedway and even mile-and-a-half package. But to me, they looked a little rough, man. I don't know. That really surprised me. Like, kind of caught me off guard completely because I picked who did I pick to win this one? I don't even remember, but I about guarantee it was a Chevrolet. Actually, I think it was Brad, but. Anyway, yeah, it was a big surprise. They really fell off fast.
I don't know if it's the new body style with the new Camaro or what, but, I mean, Jimmy was bad. Really, all of Hendrick was bad. RCR was bad. So, all the Chevrolets were bad. The Fords were pretty good. I think the Fords were actually probably the class of the field other than Harvick. Yeah. Harvick is a Ford, so...
I always forget that too.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking of him as Chevrolet, and then we're sitting here talking about how bad Chevrolets were.
Also, who's the guy in the truck series? Brett Moffitt?
Is that his name?
Is that his name? Wait a minute. Is it Brett Moffitt?
Brett Moffitt.
That's what I thought. I was just making sure. I mean, I've heard. I've watched him several times. There's another Moffitt, right? It's in the.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Thad Moffitt, maybe? That does not count here.
No, they're not related. But the Brett Moffitt, yeah, that was a big win for him. Is that his first, or no? He won at Pocono or something, right?
No, he won last year at Michigan with Red Horse. But what a lot of people don't realize is Moffitt was a Cup driver. He has Cup experience. He's ran a full year in Cup, actually a year and a half.
Like MWR, right?
He filled in for Vickers, and then he actually ran 8th at Atlanta, so he's good at Atlanta. And then he ran for Front Row. And when Reagan went to the 55, he went back to the 34 and drove for Front Row. And he's also drove for the 66 bunch.
Yeah.
You know, he's drove a couple of, you know, back marker cars, but this guy's got a lot of experience. He's ran some Xfinity races. So that was big for him. It was big for HRE. But I think the biggest story out of the Truck Series coming from Atlanta was Ilmore versus OEM. So it's hard to tell, you know, at the super speedways what the difference is going to be. But you go to a mile-and-a-half track, and, you know, the comparison is a lot larger, and there's a lot of eyes on that. And, you know, I felt like the Ilmore done well during the race, but, I mean, you look at that last restart, and the OEM motors kicked ass.
What is the difference? Is there a substantial horsepower difference, or is it like a torque thing? Or?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, you know, NASCAR's tried to do all they can to make it a level playing field. Honestly, NASCAR with the spec motor, if they're pushing the spec motor, they're going to give the spec motor an advantage. That's just how NASCAR operates. Yeah. But, you know, I feel like horsepower-wise they're the same, but the OEM motor turns way more RPM than the Ilmore does. And torque-wise, they're better. So, obviously, on that restart, Gragson was like, you know, 12th or something, and he drove all the way around him on the outside and finished second, and he had OEM. And then, obviously, Moffitt had OEM too, which I'm not really sure why HRE's running an OEM motor, because I know they're not getting any motor help from Toyota, so that was kind of odd to me. Yeah. But, you know, because it's a huge expense compared to the Ilmore, so that was kind of odd. But, I mean, obviously, he had a killer restart and you know, had a 5-6 car truck length lead there at the checker.
That was definitely a... See, I had no idea who has which motor at all, so I guess that's kind of not really inside information, but I thought that it looked like the OEM stuff had more torque and better on restarts, but...
Well, eventually it's going to all go to the Ilmore. I mean, that's just how it works. But, like, Martinsville is going to be – Vegas is going to be the same thing in Atlanta. Martinsville is going to be a true test for the Ilmore because of the gear rule right now. With the Ilmore at Martinsville, you're running faster at the end of the straightaway, but you're not able to turn enough gear to woe yourself down when you get into the corner. So the OEMs have an advantage because they're turning, you know, 300 more RPM. So when they jump out of the gas, you know, it bogs you down to the center, and it helps you turn. With the Ilmore, you're just going to wear the crap out of your brakes. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I know we got a test coming up here. I'm going to get to go to Martinsville and run some laps, and I think I'm going to have an Ilmore there. So it'll be interesting. I know NASCAR is trying to work on another gear change, a gear rule change to try to help out the Ilmore. So it'll be interesting.
Speaking of that, this is what happens when you have a guy that, you know, moves up. You know, here I am, still Mr. Late Model guy. This is what happens when you have a truck driver guy come to your house. He shows up with a nice, awry, shell-shock painted helmet. Looks great. Small chip in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's just wear and tear. You know, I got this baby in 2016, so it's been a while.
You look over here at Mr.
Got gold foil though.
Now, at first it looked great, and it's been beat all to hell. It probably looks good sitting there on camera, but I probably shouldn't even have said anything. But this actually is duct taped on the top. I mean, it's pretty rough. This is not a design on the back. That's actually a piece of tape that holds some vinyl together that got split open by some rocks at Wake County. So
brought home that trophy
anyway,
though.
Yeah, we did bring home trophies. Been a couple years, but hopefully we can change that. And speaking of this year, I guess I'll get into my plans. I plan on kind of just going week to week, but I think we are going to try to run for the Hickory Big Ten Limited Late Model Championship. It's not as demanding, and you know, we save a lot of money doing that. We still get to race against some top-notch limited guys for sure. There's a lot of limited guys there that could go pretty much anywhere and win at any track, as well as some of the late model guys. So we're going to do that, try to save a little money, but I think we're going to hop into a few bigger touring races, like hopefully the big races that the Cars Tour puts on with the limiteds. We're doing a few shows, I think, this year.
Yeah, you should be at Tri-County coming up, but you ain't going to be.
Well, that's a whole other issue, and it rhymes with the new motor rules, so we're going to not get into that because we're not going to be that kind of podcast. So anyway, What's your plans? What is
Make
what
sure
do you
your
have
make
set
sure
in
your
stone?
mic is on.
I think we are.
Make sure your mic's on.
I believe we're good, ain't we? Showing.
All right, you're good.
Yeah. So we got a phone in there from some famous person that
Yeah.
said they couldn't hear me, but I mean,
He said Dylan's mic isn't on, so just make sure it is.
yeah, it says it's on.
Here, I'll text Brooke real quick.
Facebook here. See how we're looking. Looks good.
All right, as long as we're good to go. All right, well, going back to big time NASCAR. The next topic I want to touch on at least is Denny Hamlin NASCAR's new villain?
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely kind of an asshole, but he doesn't come across as like the villain. He just kind of looks like the guy that just kind of wrecks people out of nowhere and just pisses people off. But I don't know. He just to me doesn't look like a villain at all. To me, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think he's a?
So here's my take on Denny. For one, Daytona kind of pissed me off with him, with the whole Bubba thing and just how he handled himself. I thought it was real smart-ass-esque. But my deal on Denny is, here's a guy who grew up like I did. He worked his ass off at the local ranks. He raced his way through. I mean, this was a hard-nosed short-track racer. This guy, he was 24, 25 years old, racing a late model, Langley, wherever else he was racing, South Boston, just trying to make it happen. And he got an opportunity. Joe Gibbs just went out on a limb, gave him an opportunity. He got to go race. Well, he made it. So he made it on no money, But now that he's gotten to that point, it's almost like he's completely forgotten his roots. This is someone who's been completely, to me, in my eyes, he's engulfed in the power and the money and the fame of running in the Cup Series and completely forgot about why we do this in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating to me because I sat back at home, as do many other kids in my exact position, as you do, as I'm sure, there's thousands of kids across, the United States right now wanting to get into NASCAR that are in our same boat. And I don't think Denny realizes how lucky he is to be where he's at right now. And to me, you just can't forget where he come from. So that's one thing that I think, like Brad does a good job of remembering where he came from. Anybody that's made it without money, which are most of the people in the Cup Series right now, they do it, and they're humble about it. But to me, I just don't get that from Denny. But, it's hard for me to say that because I'm not at that level, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I don't think you can. I don't know. He definitely spends a lot of money, and that's if you've got the money, I guess you can spend it. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a basketball court in his house, and he also has. I don't know. I cannot confirm nor deny this, but I believe that he has a room just for his Daytona 500 winning car.
Yeah, I've seen that on Instagram or something. It's cool as shit. I mean, I guess
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll agree.
I don't know, man. I've kind of not liked Denny at certain points, but he's obviously a good race car driver, and he has that.
Yeah, no doubt about
it
that.
factor to a point, but yeah, he's got a different personality. But I mean, I guess if you've got it, man, just spend it. But
I mean, there's a reason why he's there. He's obviously a hell of a race car driver, but you just can't forget your roots. That's just kind of all I was trying to get across there. It's just, to me, if you get there to that level, you're there for a reason, but you just got to treat it like you know how you got there.
Yeah, and what I think's really cool is the fact that he still does the short track showdown, and at least I don't know how involved in it he really is, but he seems like he supports the whole idea of short track racing, and that's definitely a positive. So. Moving on.
Daniker.
Yeah, well, how about we go to Bubba versus Willie B? Who's the Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year. All right, I had a conversation with Dylan Smith, Mamba, if he's listening or if he does listen to this. He's probably yelling at his phone or TV right now as I talk about this. But we had a conversation. We went to SRI the other week, and I was talking about how I felt like Bubba was the dark horse for Rookie of the Year, and I still believe that. I think that Bubba will win Rookie of the Year over Willie B, and for one, I believe it's experience. You know, I think Willie B has been in the best of the best equipment at every step of the way. He can obviously drive. He can wheel. He's won in every division, but he's also been in the best of the best equipment at every step of the way, just like I said. So when you do that, you know, it's hard to learn. You know, it's hard to learn what me and you learn on a weekly basis because he never has to
drive a shitty car.
Yeah, how to drive a shit box. Yeah,
Yeah.
he never has to do that. So and I think Bubba's experienced that. Now Bubba's been in good equipment and he's had a lot of good opportunities, but he's also drove a Roush Xfinity car, and we all know where they're at in their program. They're making some strides, but they're not a Joe Gibbs, or a Junior Motorsports. So I feel like I feel like Bubba's gonna win Rookie of the Year, but I think it also depends on. Eventually, I feel like Hendrick's going to be a better team than RCR/Petty at the end of the year, just because of the experience there. But to me, I just feel like Bubba's still going to beat him out. What do you think?
I agree for sure. Clearly, I think we're having a little bit of technical issues with the sound, so I'm gonna work on that real quick. So give us about a minute, and we'll be right back.
Damn it. Always.
All right. Well, hopefully we have fixed that issue. It looks like we did. I just had to change some wires around. So anyway, like I said, we got a lot to learn here on the whole podcast deal. But
Man, you just got to get up and close to that
well,
mic, man.
you know, it was.
You
stuck.
scared of
It
that
was-
thing? It's not going to bite you.
Well, it's getting stuck in my mustache. Pulling my
Your
damn
mustache.
and my mustache hairs out.
I
And it
can't
kinda
wait
hurts.
I can't wait for throwback weekend to grow mine back
Oh
out.
my god.
Yeah, my
That's a
girlfriend's not
new
gonna like
topic we
that.
can talk about. Let's get screw a bunch of damn cup racing. Let's talk about the real shit now. Let's go to the
Man,
well, we're going to come back to a couple things that we got to talk about. In
that's
the Cup
fine.
Series
We can
for
move
sure.
on. We can move
But
on.
I've got a cup. We're going to come back to our ideal in a fantasy perfect world, what the ideal NASCAR schedule would be, as well as the Vegas fantasy picks for DraftKings. So
I want to
that's a
talk
couple
about. I want to
things.
talk about Danica too. I think that's
Yeah.
a good topic,
We can get back to
and it won't be relevant in
Danica.
2 weeks, so we need to be
Aaron
talking
Rodgers.
about it now. Not Aaron Rodgers, but all right. So what do you want to talk about?
Okay, so I wanted to get into a little bit of short track stuff real quick. I want to talk about Cars Tour coming to Tri-County. You're competing in it. I'm sitting on the couch. We got a lot of cars to wrap, a lot of stuff going on, so we're really busy. Plus, we're still in between motors right now as far as purchasing one, so we're having a tough time getting all that figured out. So we're not going to make that race, but we are going to race at Hickory the week afterwards. So anyway, Cars Tour Tri-County, can't beat that.
No, it's a badass place. I mean, this is one of the best races on the schedule. If you like short track racing, it's definitely one to go to. There's going to be 40-plus cars there. We're racing for $10,000. I mean, it's going to be the epitome of all of short track racing. I mean, I think if you haven't been to Tri-County to watch a race, you're missing out. I mean, that place is 2 grooves, 3 grooves sometimes. You can race the hell out of each other. I won a race there in 2016. I raced side by side with Charlie Watson. God knows how. I don't know how I raced side by side with him without getting fenced. No offense, Charlie, but he did. Somehow he didn't hit me. And and it's just a really fun place, and it is for sale right now. I think the Casola family has had it up for sale for forever, which I'm not really sure what the heck he's doing with it. It's kind of frustrating. A couple of people have showed interest,
Can we get a confirmation on how much that is? $500,000.
$500,000.
500 grand for Tri-County Speedway. That don't seem that bad. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but well, got to fight the county a little bit. But so if you got a lot of money and you want to bring in some big guns, buy Tri-County and make it a weekly show, or at least run a few races a year, because it's too good of a racetrack to not run. And then the car store coming there, that's just like a double whammy. They've got such a good series, and it's so well organized, and they're doing the best move I think they've done in years. Well, they've only been going for a few years, but one of their best moves ever is doing limiteds. I think the super late model market around here is not superb. We have, I don't think we have as much as a market. Well, we clearly don't have as much of a super late model car count around here as they do down south or up north. But there's a lot of good quality cars. That's not what I'm saying. There's just not as many cars, period. So, I mean, there's people like Brandon Setzer that run supers, and he's a damn threat everywhere he goes. And I could say, well, he runs some late models and stuff too, so he don't count. He runs every damn thing and wins in about everything too. So anyway, what I was getting at is they're bringing limiteds into a Cars Tour sanctioned race at Tri-County, and I think they're doing it at Hickory also later in the year. But that's going to be really fun. I think they're going to have a shit ton of cars in both divisions. They're going to have a ton of limiteds, a ton of late models. It's $2,500 to win the limited race.
Yeah, it's $2,500 to win limited. It's two new tires and 2 scuffs, which is a good deal. So I think there'll be probably more limiteds, or the same amount of limiteds as there is late models. You'll see a lot of your late model guys that usually run your weekly shows at Hickory, that kind of thing. They're going to step over and run limited there just because of the cost. It does cost more to run that 10K race just because of it being Cars Tour. But yeah, it should be a good show. And I think the switch to limiteds and late models instead of supers every week is solid, just because, like you said, down south we don't have a lot of super late models. I think the big super late model races they're still doing are good.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's good racing. They're a good transfer car between a late model stock and a truck as far as power goes. And, people like coming and watching those more powerful cars as well. So they usually put on a good show. And you have a couple of household names like Bubba Pollard, Brandon Setzer, and people like that race in the series. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'd pay weekly if Bubba Pollard puts on a damn show. I don't know if you got to watch him the time that he raced at Hickory. In the throwback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a throwback race. He just wasn't in the throwback. He's one of the smoothest that I've got to watch ever, especially at Hickory. That was pretty incredible. He started dead last, and you know how the super races are. There no cautions usually, and he started dead last. I'm pretty sure way in the back, and he's just really methodical the way he gets the job done. So he's fun to watch. I'm sure everybody on here is like, okay, what's next? Because everybody knows that. But, yeah, so as far as short track racing goes, do you think it's on the rise? Do you think it's gaining cars? Do you think it's losing cars?
I think it just depends where you're at. I mean, if you're Hickory Motor Speedway, you're falling into the gutter. If you're Cars Tour, I think you're doing good. I mean, it's just it's product of how much you're going to pay. If you're a track, if you can pay a lot, people are going to come race there. I mean, if the track was a place like Hickory, the history is high, so people go race there because of what it is, not because of what it pays. You're not making anything when you race there. But if you pay, they'll come play. I mean, that's how it is. At South Boston, they paid $4,000 to win every week, and they got 30+ cars. That's just how it works. Cars Tour's paying $10,000 to win a couple of these races, and you're going to see 40+ cars. I mean, that people are going to come out and they're going to put on a show, and the fans are going to enjoy it. So I think if you look at it like that, it's on the rise. I think there could be some more universal things done with the rule book, motor-wise, to try to help out the smaller guy, just like in big racing. I think not everybody – they're trying to weed out the people who have a Chevrolet 604 crate engines, and I think that's wrong. I think there's a way to help out that 604 crate.
We both got 604 crates.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We have 2 604 crate motors for sale. If anybody's – Everybody's looking for 604s.
604s are great, guys. They're
really, I'll tell you what,
I've won in a 604 a lot.
I have too. Every race that I've won. Well, actually, even better, 603.
Yeah, but
little motor. Yeah.
But
Little motor.
On the 604, I mean, all NASCAR would have to do is implement a camshaft change or something small like that to help out the 604 and get it level with your Harrington Enforcer motor or Ford Crate or something like that. But obviously, honestly, the chances of that happen are probably slim to none. So, we just got to suck it up and figure out what the best option is. But I would definitely say it's on the rise for sure.
Yeah, I think, just like you said, it just depends on who's paying. And if they're paying, there's cars coming out. And I think the Cars Tour, a lot of people, when it first came out, were like, oh, this is going to suck. It's going to take all the cars away from all the local tracks, and everybody's going to go touring. But all that does is get, if people leave a track, a lot of times it breeds more people to come to that track. It's weird how that sounds, I know. And if there's a lot of cars at a track, people are still going to come there. But say I raced at South Boston, and he didn't race the Cars Tour, but if I raced at Hickory and R.D. Smith and Josh Berry and all them guys ain't going to be there now because they're racing Cars Tour, well, okay. Well, I can go in and have a good chance to win. That sounds kind of a little on the sissy side, but a lot of people do that. I mean, and if you're a racer and you can't say that you haven't been intrigued to race somewhere because Lee Pulliam's not going to be there that week, I mean, you're probably lying. So unless you are Lee Pulliam, so I mean, there's a lot of times where it's good and bad. There's times where there's going to be 8 cars there a week, but eventually I think it's just like a revolving wheel all the time. That when you start a Cars Tour series or there's some kind of touring series out there, it can take cars away, but they end up breeding more. And
yeah, I mean the perfect example of that is 2014, especially at Hickory. UARA series goes away for a year. And I ran the full late model stock season in 2014 at Hickory, and we had, 20-plus cars every week, and it was a heck of a show. We had Dylan Bassett racing there every week, Barry raced there every week, or almost every week. I'm trying to think of who else. There was a bunch of, larger names. Dalton Sargent ran there, Shane Lee, myself, Ashley Huffman, I don't know who else, but there was a lot.
Back when Lefevre's and McDaniel.
McDaniel was there every week. Yep.
All them guys were.
Yeah, and that was fun. You had and every track was like that.
You would be proud to finish top 10.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you finished in the top 10, it was a good day. I mean, if you ran in the top 5, I mean, I won one race in 2014, and I probably finished in the top 5 only 4 or 5 times. Yeah. And I ran 20 races or whatever it was.
Even limiteds. That was my second year racing.
Yeah.
And I was running limiteds, and that's the year we caught on finally and started winning a few races. And even limiteds had not as much, but at least 20 cars, 16 cars most of the time. There probably 8 people was going for the championship, all pretty relatively close to each other. Don't know who won the championship in 14 in limiteds, but late model.
Probably Travis Bird. Was it Travis Bird?
It wasn't Travis. Travis was 15.
Travis or Pelfrey? I don't remember.
No, because I think this was Pelfrey's first one.
Oh gosh, there ain't. Who else? Who else?
Dude, I don't know. It's crazy.
There is not many other options.
I don't know. Anyway, that was kind of. I raced there a lot that year too. I don't even remember. Oh, Taylor Strickland. That's who won.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot about him. He fell off the face of the earth.
No, I think he still races in Alabama or something. I haven't kept up with it much, but I've seen a few things. So anyway, short track racing has been on TV a little bit here lately, pre-recorded. I think the last one I watched was a few months ago, and it was the South Boston race in Cars Tour on MAV TV, and I think they also played Myrtle Beach on MAV TV.
Oh yeah, MAV TV is making an effort to try to bring some of the short track racing to the forefront with TV, but the only problem is MAV TV coverage is awful.
Yeah,
it's terrible. I mean, the Cars Tour production is really good. They do a good job of producing their races with the announcers that they have, but it just depends with MAV TV. I think they use multiple production crews or something, because I remember watching the Springfield ARCA race last year, and it looked like I was watching something from 1985, and it was just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't even tell who the cars were on the racetrack, and that's not because it was a dirt track. It was because the production was fuzzy, and you couldn't see anything. And, they were recording, Mike Seneca running 45th, and there was a battle for the lead, and you didn't know what was happening. So that was frustrating, but it's good that they are trying to bring things to the forefront. So I will give them that. And you know, the more short track racing we get into the eyes of people that maybe don't get to your local short track on a Saturday night, the better.
For sure, man. I mean, there's no doubt about any kind of coverage is good. Speed 51's great. MAV TV, it's great that it's on TV. But it would be awesome if I just feel like to me. You can turn on Fox Sports 1 and watch a damn boat go through a swamp in a boat race, but you can't watch a short track race. You know, you can't even watch Martinsville. Hell, you can't watch Martinsville, period, unless you're there, you know, or unless someone live streams it, which gives me hellacious ideas now that we are live streaming.
Yeah,
but anyway,
stepping into this.
Anyway, yeah, it surprises the hell out of me that no one really plays much. Like, if I could have one wish, it would definitely be, I'm talking any wish I could have, it'd definitely be bring back Speed Channel, for sure. Above all else. Well, maybe not above all else, but above a lot of things would be have a Speed Channel again. And you can, I mean, MAP TV isn't far from it, I guess, but just, they just got a lower budget, so they can only have certain kinds of shows. I mean, you might have, like, people like us on there doing shows. That's why
it sucks.
Not many people watch it.
No, I think it's frustrating that they got rid of Speed.com or Speed Channel, whatever the heck it was. Speed Channel, yeah. I thought initially that when they switched to Fox Sports 1 was going to be Speed Channel, but it started out. It actually was like a lot of it was the same stuff that was airing.
And all that. Dave DeSpade on there.
And now they have like soccer.
Yeah, all the time. Soccer. UFC, old UFC fights between
or like
two
Division
prelims.
2 baseball or something like that.
Division 4.
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving on. We all want Speed Channel back. We all want short track racing on TV live all the time. But I feel like usually when I comment something about this, Tony Stevens comments on my post and says, well, you can watch it. Fanschoice.tv.
Yeah, you can watch it if you pay $49.99.
No. I bought the Cars Tour season pass last year, and I think I paid $40 for it. I got to watch every race all year long.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And it was actually great. It wasn't bad at all. But I was just saying, he will probably shortly comment on this and give us a link to where the Tri-County race will be. I can't remember. I think it was Fan Choice TV or
Fan Choice done the.
No, it wasn't Fan Choice.
Fan Choice does the K&N races, and they stream them live. I don't remember what it's called. Cars Tour TV on Facebook. I think if you search that, then they'll have the link to it at least.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Anyway, if anybody's wanting to watch the Cars Tour and can't make it to Tri-County, which I highly suggest because it's going to be a good show. It's a great place for fans because you get to park your truck right against the fence and drink a lot of water. You get to drink a ton of water, and yeah. Oh,
I didn't know that.
It's on Hulu. Yeah. So if you're a Hulu subscriber. Which reminds me, I need to cancel my thing because I'm almost out of free trial.
That 30-day free trial.
I'm almost out of 30 days. I'm at about 27. I don't want to lose that $10. That's got to save up for tires. But yeah, all sorts of different outlets to watch this stuff on. But I guarantee you would have a great time if you went and watched it and sat against the fence or in the stands wherever, because there's always good like 18 wide racing at Tri-County. I mean, there's room for it, though. I mean, you can comfortably run 3 wide. Not comfortably, but
you can race 3 grooves there. Yeah. You know, when it's hot, like when we run that Cars Tour there race in the summer, when we run the Cars Tour race there in the summer, you couldn't run the bottom at all. When it's colder, I think it'll be in the middle this week, but like when you race there in October, you can qualify on the bottom and you can run the bottom some, but your tires eventually just give up and you got to go race the top. And then when you're fighting for, when you're fighting for the top, it puts on a show. I think the Cars Tour race there last year was one of the best races the Cars Tour's had in its existence. So, we got some good things coming up there. Just everybody, if you don't know about the Cars Tour, go check it out. And then that gives us some time to transition in. Let's talk a little bit about the North Carolina sports that are going on right now, because there's some stuff that I'm kind of aggravated about that I want to talk about, mainly regarding my beloved Carolina Panthers, which unfortunately we have released Kurt Coleman and Jonathan Stewart and
CJ.
Charles Johnson. And now I understand Coleman a little bit.
Dude, he made plays though.
He made plays this past year. He didn't have any picks, but the year before that, the Super Bowl year,
He had
not
bunch.
Super Bowl year. 2015 he had a lot. 2016 he had a few, and then this past year he didn't have any. But he was also mangled up at the start of the year. But he had no picks. But he did make a lot of plays in the running game. He was a heck of a tackling safety. And I think that losing him is going to hurt mainly because of the veteran leadership. But Stu's one that I'm more upset about. Maybe not from a business end if you're the Carolina Panthers, but from my end, I watched him growing up as a child. So, he was that
It's bittersweet.
he was that
for sure.
5th grade, 6th grade. Him coming into the league, I thought he was awesome, and I've watched him grow with the Panthers, and he's now the franchise leading rusher. So to see him go, it's tough, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely bittersweet. He had a tough year in ball security and stuff, and I think that everybody knew that he was drawing to a close with Carolina. But I think I've seen something today on SportsCenter, which is extremely unreliable sometimes, but said that there's still a chance that he could re-sign. He'll take a pay cut, but I feel like they would have done that in a hurry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what's crazy is he had either a pair of 3 touchdown games last year. Or I know he had at least one 3 touchdown game, and that was against Minnesota. And so he had some bright spots last year, and he actually ran the ball really well. But ball security, I think, was what done him in. And he probably offered to take less money, but it was still probably more than they could pay an incoming rookie or whatever.
Do we still have, what's his name, Fozzie
Yeah,
Whitaker?
we still have Fozzie
and
on the roster
Curtis
and Cap.
Artis
Yeah.
Payne, yeah.
So I think CMC will do good as a lead back. I think that they'll have to work Fozzie in a little more. I like Fozzie a lot. I think we should use him more.
Yeah.
Other than just a special teams player. So it'll be interesting to see how they work all of that in.
A couple years ago, I thought Artis Payne was the real deal. In the Super Bowl year, I think he was a rookie that year, right?
Yeah, he was coming out of college. He was good in college.
Where did he play?
Auburn.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he played at Auburn. So, he came in. He was pretty solid. We just haven't utilized him that much. I think he's actually put on some weight. So he's a little overweight right now, which I don't know. Maybe that's product of sitting on the bench. I don't know.
yeah. It kind of it just reminds me a lot of the whole Kelvin situation. And looking back on it, at first I was like, "What the hell?" Because that whole day I was expecting to trade for a receiver. I was expecting to get Jarvis Landry or somebody. And then all of a sudden it says Panthers traded Kelvin Benjamin.
Panthers traded their whole team to Buffalo for
literally
hot dog.
the Panthers of the North now have Kelvin Benjamin. At first I was like, "Man, what the hell?" But honestly, he wasn't that good. He's all right, but he's not that good. He's the only decent. I think it's almost like when you have a dog run away, and we named this dog Steve Smith. He ran away, and a new owner found him, and all my family's like, "Well, can we have Well, we didn't want him back, but at the end of the day, we got a new dog, and this dog's kind of as cool as Steve." Kind of as good, makes big plays like old Steve the dog did, but it's just not as good. So finally, just boot his ass out the door.
Yeah, in the
I
end,
think that's
it's just
kind of how it happened.
in the end it just doesn't
we
replace
tried
the other
to-
dog.
I
right?
think we literally tried to fill that void with.
I agree, but
I think the fans did, not the owners. Just like us
yeah.
as fans thought we had a really a 98 overall on Madden receiver, whenever the guy's a strong mid-70s.
A couple of times I felt that way too, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the emergence of Devin Funchess helped us get rid of Kelvin. I think it made that a little bit easier because I think Devin's going to be a solid number 1 receiver for us in the future. I think
he hustles.
Yeah, I think
he
may not
watching
be
him play. He's got a weird body language.
Start to say,
But
yeah.
he's
He reminds
good.
me a lot of somebody I went to high school with.
Yeah, he's got this weird running style. I feel like he was. I don't know. He's just weird, but he's good. He's a ball player, that's for sure. I'm excited to see what next year has in store. What's your predictions right now? What do you think the Panthers are going to go in 2018?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, I think once we see some of the moves
that's
they
part
make,
of what makes the shit fun. Like, what do you think? Honestly,
12-4 maybe.
You think?
That's like that's a high end.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a bold.
I think 8-8 would be my low end. I don't think we'll go worse than 8-8. Anytime you got Cam Newton,
I think the
feel
best we do is 10 wins, but I don't think we do. I think we're gonna be between 8-8, 10-6, somewhere in there.
I think 10-6 is going to make the playoffs. Obviously, I mean 8-8 probably won't, but 10-6 will make the playoffs. I highly doubt 10-6 will win the division.
I might be wrong on this, but I think one time the Patriots won 11 or 12 games and didn't make the playoffs. Producer, can we get a check on that? Type in Patriots list of Patriots seasons. Not that anybody really cares.
Brent Wentz just texted me and said less Panthers, more Eagles. Sorry, Brent. We don't talk about Eagles on this show, unfortunately.
No Eagles.
No Eagles. This is an Eagle-free zone.
I played
Panthers
for the Bethlehem
only.
Eagles in flag football, and we won the city
Yeah, we'll talk about the
championship.
Bethlehem Eagles. But
Bethlehem Eagles were real good. A similar situation. Sprained my pinky or some shit. Couldn't finish off the season. Had a couple games left. I was on the bench though.
that was rough. That was
Yeah.
rough.
I didn't want to practice. That's when like NASCAR 2006 came out or some shit. So,
Total team control.
fuck yeah, one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a big fan of that.
All
That's
right.
something we could add to
Hey,
the itinerary.
That's
by
a
the
good
way.
transition, Dylan, into talking about a little bit of gaming.
Yeah.
Not NASCAR 2006, but iRacing is obviously a huge topic right now in the NASCAR community, in the racing community, and in the gaming community. I was a fluent iRacer about 4 years ago in my high school days, which, if you asked me then, I would have thought it was my job. I sure spent enough hours on it for it to count as a job, and I actually got paid a little bit, but definitely wasn't a job. But nowadays, it's making a lot of headway.
Call me NCAA. He just admitted.
Yeah, nowadays it's making a lot of headway. It's in the news a lot. We've got tracks creating teams in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, which, if you don't know, is a sanctioning body or a sanctioned series by NASCAR within the iRacing service. And I actually got to race in that series for a year. I hated it. I sucked. I crashed a lot.
I spotted for it one time.
Yeah, we crashed at Pocono.
We
and
fenced it on the front stretch.
you know, like lap 20. We're in it, boys. But talking about iRacing, how realistic do you think it is, Dylan? Coming from a driver perspective, what do you think? What do you think about the sim? And because now people are using it more as a simulation than as a game. Where back when we were playing it, or when I was playing it heavily, it was considered more of a game than a simulation.
Dude, I've gotten it's weird. Well, first of all, it's extremely realistic. The game, the handling, the maps, or the track maps, the mapping of the track, the actual bumps and all that good stuff, the position of the walls, position of entrances, the pit road, little stuff like that is superb. And the handling, all that good stuff. If you have a decent steering wheel, you can really feel every nook and cranny in the track. But as far as the gameplay and competition, dude, I feel like it's went the opposite way. Like, when I got on it, I didn't get on it until 2012. Like, when I first, before I got a limited late model, I started running on there while I was racing go-karts. Started running a little bit with like a $200 laptop, 12 frames per second, and a Microsoft Sidewinder steering wheel from NASCAR 2003, the original 2003, not the modded one. Anyway, I feel like it's went the other way. When I get on there, unless I'm playing like rallycross or dirt racing, I just feel like it's a bunch of people that are gamers. They're not racers. Like, I'm probably gonna get a cussing for that because I know a lot of people that play iRacing, but I'm saying a lot of people that are on it, and I don't know hardly any of them, but a lot of people are literally just like gamers. And not saying you have to be a race car driver to be a racer on iRacing. Like, some people get on there to race and like race somebody. It just feels like it's just this odd feeling. There's a whole community out there, and iRacing's making tons of money on it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the gameplay's a lot different, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't play a bunch. I actually watch a lot of streams of races, as weird as that is. But I run the Oculus Rift goggles and all that, so I got a pretty decent setup. But it's to me, it's gotten a little bit too. It doesn't feel as racy to me to race it. Now, certain hosted leagues do, but if I hop on a C fixed or a B fixed race, I just feel like I'm like I'm playing against like I feel like I'm playing NASCAR Heat 2 online, and I'm just gonna get finished. Then again, I hardly play, so I'm like in the lower splits, so I'm playing against a bunch of
that's got
asses.
something to do with it. I mean, I could attest to that. I feel like from everything you're saying, it makes sense because 2008 to 2012-ish, that was the only people that knew about iRacing were sim racers and racers.
Yeah.
They weren't people getting into a sim because they liked NASCAR as a fan, more or less. It was more of people who've done sim racing for a long time, or racers that found out about it as a simulation software and then got into it to race. So back then, the quality of racing was better. You got in and you were racing against people that knew what they were doing, they understood the software, they understood racing, and they knew racing etiquette. Now you've got a lot of kids, you've got a lot of people that are NASCAR fans, which is perfectly fine. That's what the sim is for. You know, it's to bring these people closer to the actual racing that's happening on track. But now you get a lot of people that don't understand what they're doing and have a lot to learn as far as racing goes, and it's just not the same as it was when we first started playing.
Oh yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. I guess even in 13, it was still a lot of people that was racers. I think I know that Twitter and shit like that was around in 2012, 2013, but to me, you think about how much of it dictates the whole world now, and how like advertisements. I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like when you think of something that you want, and all of a sudden it shows up on your ads, and that guy's just sitting. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, as much as all like how powerful social media is nowadays, and any kind of social website, it's crazy because I feel like they advertise so well, and everybody wants to be able to race on a computer. Not everybody, but a lot of people would love to race on a computer. But now they have rally cross racing, dirt track racing, which it had to at least, well, maybe not double, but I'm sure their percentages jumped up a lot as far as their actual customer base, as far as how many people actually raced on there. Just by doing that, and I feel like it just brought in a lot of people that has never raced against other people. I'm not saying you have to be a race car driver to be a iRacer. I'm just saying that it is a hell of a lot more fun to race against you and RJ, Casey Pierce, and a couple other buddies of mine that race iRacing than it is to jump in a C6 race in the second to last split and race against a bunch of kids that just got done playing NASCAR Heat and decided they want to come over here and try to run the Bristol race. I mean, it's just terrible. It's just a whole different aspect, and I think that, like you said, it's just part of how it's transitioned from at first it was just people that knew about racing or did racing or whatever and had the equipment to do it, and now it's so much easier to access it.
Yeah, no,
they've done much easier, and they promote the hell out of it. Yeah. And there's also dirt racing and rallycross racing. Basically, what I was trying to say.
Yeah, they've done a good job to market it. And as you were saying, you know, it's more fun to race against me. You know, for me, it's more fun to race against you or other racers. That going back to our original
hosted racing. Though,
going back to our original question, you know, how realistic is it? I think as a driver, you know, sitting behind the wheel of a real race car compared to getting on iRacing and driving as a sim, the main comparisons are, for one, the cars do not drive the same. So you can't expect, if you drive a truck on iRacing, you can't expect it to drive like a truck in real life. It's just not how it works. The visuals that you get from iRacing are spot on. You know, when I ran Martinsville for the first time, I got on iRacing, ran laps there. It looked exactly the same when I got in a truck at Martinsville.
And that's a big deal, knowing your pickup points, your lift points, and seeing things. Well, it's not the same as far as that goes, but you at least learn.
You at least see on the racetrack.
Kind of close to being a pickup point.
And then the third point I have is racing etiquette is huge, and you learn how to race around people on the sim. That's the biggest thing, I think, for me. Of all the others, I think the main thing you learn from iRacing is how to maneuver around people, how to be smart, how to learn how to race. You know, you have to be patient. You have to understand what's happening around you. So awareness is a big thing. I think you learn a lot through iRacing as far as racing awareness goes, and you learn how to put yourself in better positions and learn how to actually be there at the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's one of the main things that you get from iRacing, not necessarily how the car drives or how it handles, or, you know, if you raise a track bar on the right side, it makes you freer, although it does that in the game. But it's more of just the awareness and the seat time, I guess you could say, in quotes, that you get from running the sim. That transitions over to real life.
Yeah, the etiquette thing and keeping a consistent line. I think I actually learned, one of the things I learned from iRacing, you kind of bursted up a memory for me there, was I was having a hard, when I first started racing, I never thought about, I mean, all I had played was like NASCAR video games, so all I thought to do this was go-kart days, but when I would go into a corner, I would just try to swing it high as hell, get a big old run coming off, and I literally had no idea what I was doing. But, you learn how to start getting down on someone's door at the end of a race for a restart and all that good stuff, so that's a really big deal.
All right, I think, one of the last things I want to talk about here, and we got off kilter from it at the start, and I want to go back to it and talk about it because I don't know how relevant it's going to be 3 weeks from now. One of the topics I wanted to discuss, and this will be our last one, is Danica. With Danica being gone, how do you feel that affects the sport? Does it hurt the sport? And, what are we looking at moving forward without, a girl on the track in the Cup Series?
I don't think it hurts, but I also don't think it helps. I think it's going to stay the same as it is right now, and that's not a drag on Danica because she's the best female race car driver that's raced in NASCAR to this point statistically. Obviously, she's had tons and tons and tons of funding and options and sponsors, and it's a publicity stunt. But she held her own to a point. She's a tough old bird. She hit the shit out of the wall a lot.
Yeah, she did
she
that.
knocked the damn fence down a lot.
I remember one of our first races, the duel at Daytona in the
I was there
in the COT car. She hit the inside wall so hard, and that started the take your hands off the wheel.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Just take the wheel on that one.
I think that you can look at it from two ways. From one side of things, as a fan. And for the fans, I think it hurts the sport. You have less females involved. Danica gave that she led with an example for all the females out there. She gave the young girls, she gave, children in general, not just girls, but, boys, girls, whatever it may have you. She was a good example. She gave these kids someone to cheer for. She gave She got another target market into NASCAR, and I think that for that reason, she was good for the sport, and I think her leaving is going to hurt the sport because those people that watch her are no longer going to watch our sport, and the more people that are watching NASCAR, the better. But I think that it does not hurt the sport in the form of the racing. I think the racing gets better. You lose Danica, you put Eric Almirola in that seat. It also opens up another seat for someone in NASCAR to come in, which was Bubba Wallace, and make the racing better. So from that aspect, I don't think it hurt the Cup Series. But if you look at it from a marketing stunt or from a marketing side and from a fan side, I think it hurt us a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you no longer have little girls with Danica shirts on. But
you'll still have that, but you're not going to have those at the racetrack.
I'm saying
probably.
You're not going to have them all the time. Like what I'm saying is we lost Danica, so yeah, it hurt because we lost her and you lost some of her fans. But like you said, we gained Bubba Wallace at the end of it. I know Eric took his seat, but Bubba. At the end of it, Bubba's the one that got into the Cup Series because of it. And but there's so many young guys to pull for now.
I think the youth movement is definitely 100% full force now.
Yeah,
it's here.
It's today. Today, like it's literally the youth movement is like you're watching it happen right now. I don't know. You think it'll trickle out again like it did? Do you think that 10, 15 years from now, maybe 20, it'll be like the next youth movement?
Probably.
I
think it's just a cycle. No, I think it's a cycle. I think NASCAR went through a change, and
so basically, we're screwed.
No, I don't. No, not. It just depends. We've got to find our own way to make it in the sport, and that's what we're working on right now. But from what I'm saying there, back in the day in the 80s and the 90s, youth didn't matter. It was whoever could get in, run up front, and do well for the company, do well for the team, and personalities were huge, And then now we've transitioned into this era where young kids are racing at an early age, and they're able to get into the sport much easier than they did before, and there's a lot more money involved now. So the transition that NASCAR's made, I think that it's going to continue in this form or fashion, but we've also we have to establish new personalities, and I think that's where Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, people like that come into play, because they are the young Bobby Allisons, the young Dick Trickles, the whatever you want to call it. You know, your Bill Elliott's. You know, you got Chase in the sport now, so we have a strong youth movement from the idea of personalities, and that's what NASCAR needs. It needs people like that are willing to put their opinion out there. They're willing to be themselves on national TV, on radio. Anything like that, that's what we need, and I think that's where we're headed. So I think we're in a good spot right now.
Like, I would say probably 80% of the people, well, not 80, but a lot of people probably hate Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Who else is an asshole? that's the
about
two, man.
it.
Kurt, kind of.
Kurt's mellowed out, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. When he wrecks and he doesn't cuss, it is weird. But anyway. Yeah, it's like a good mix, man. Everybody's got such good personalities nowadays. Like, it was so dull. The last few guys that came in, even though they had crap rides, it was really dull and mellow. All the actual guys that were racing. No offense, but there was just a lot of guys that were coming into these junk rides, and they just had no personality. And then now, like Matt DiBenedetto, not in a good car, in a lower class deal, but he has a great personality, a big following. Landon Castle's not in the car anymore, correct?
No.
But, he's still a hell of a personality.
Landon, would you drive this? We're going to find you something to drive.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I got a limited late model. If
guy
somehow
needs a car.
Yeah, if somehow Landon Castle's listening, buddy, you know, I've got one sitting there for you. We'll go race because we got to get you in something.
Landon Castle and Matt DiBenedetto, it'd be awesome to see them guys in top-tier equipment, which... I mean, the Alex Bowman story is one that dreams are made of, I guess. You know,
yeah, it is.
That is a crazy, crazy story. I never in my life, not because it's Alex Bowman. I mean, obviously a good driver, but I'm just saying, how in the hell can you go from racing at BK race? That's probably the only time in the history of mankind that anybody's went from BK racing
to a Hendrick car.
To Hendrick instead of the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think
holy
Alex.
Hell. How does that happen?
Alex is a unique situation, but you know he's made it to where he's at now, and he'll do well because he's a driver and he's a racer. So
yeah,
you know, well,
I want to cover one more thing just before we get off. Got a little bit more time here. We're closing in on an hour, so we'll
I've got to pee, man.
Knock out the little. Gotta pee.
I gotta pee so bad.
Old tiny tank over here. Never fails. The man. I play video games with this guy every night. And in between every 10-minute round.
Yeah, I got to piss every game.
Hang on, dude. I'll be right back. I gotta go pee. every time. But one more thing. Fantasy picks. We need some salaries real quick.
Oh, shoot. I ain't even looked.
But fantasy picks on DraftKings. I don't know if anybody's into DraftKings. We're obviously not sponsored by them, but we play it. I play it a lot.
I play it, and I give them a lot of my money, unfortunately.
Yes, a lot of it. But sometimes we luck out and win. I had a decent Daytona 500. I spent $50 and made $50.
Attaboy.
So I was broke even.
That's a good day in DraftKings.
Yeah, it really is. I went all out for the 500. I was winning like $200 at one point. Then I went all shit. But anyway, let's look at some rosters here or some.
The only problem right now is
you don't know qualifying.
Right, you don't know qualifying order, so that's
big.
But
anyway, as far as power rankings, let's just do power rankings. Who we thinks would be good picks. So on DraftKings, you get to pick 6 drivers, all at different salaries. So obviously, let's say for example, Kyle Busch is a good driver. He's going to be one of the most expensive guys. You get a $50,000 salary,
and it varies for each track. It varies to each track with your price of driver.
But anyway, so your cheapest driver is going to be. No offense, but like Corey LaJoy or somebody, you know, a lower...
Greg Galding.
Yeah, Greg Galding.
He is the cheapest.
Definitely, that's number one. Anyway, so Las Vegas.
I think Kevin Harvick's still a shoe-in. I think you got to go with Kevin.
Kevin costs $10,300.
All right.
So there's 10-3 gone.
All right, you give me one now. We'll just alternate here. That way we can get over
So I'm gonna go down some. And I'm gonna give you guys a little bit lower priced one to since you spent a ton of money on the first one. I'm gonna go.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Dude, I'm going with Eric Jones.
Okay.
I think the Toyotas are gonna be fast at 1.5 miles.
What was Eric? How much is Eric's price?
$8,300.
All right.
So we're down to $31,400 left. We have 78.50 average player, so Landon needs to choose a pretty cheap one here.
Yeah, I got a real cheap one here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with someone making his debut this weekend, and I think that he may struggle, but he's in a Ford.
Oh, Cole Custer.
Cole Custer.
Yeah, Cole Custer.
I think this is a good option. I think that he's in a Rick Ware Racing 51, but everyone knows it's not Rick Ware. It's a Stuart Haas car, yeah. So, I mean, I think Cole's got a good shot to go run good. I think that right now, if the Chevrolets continue to struggle.
Super cheap, huh?
Yeah, he's 6,400. I think if the
how is he more money than freaking?
He's in a Stuart Haas car. I think if the Chevys continue to struggle, that's a good pick. I think.
Wow, that's on it. That surprises me that he is $6,400. Like, so, Cole Custer costs more than
David Reagan,
Allmendinger, Casey Kane, Trevor Bain, Benedetto. Yeah, he costs more than all them. So anyway, now we're back down to. I didn't even click the button here. Okay, so now we're back down. Okay, so about 8,300 average per driver. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna go up a little bit. Las Vegas. Going with Joey Logano. I think that's a good pick. Oh, Logano. A good pick at Las Vegas. I have a good feeling about him. Also, if anybody even plays this or doesn't play this, it's really cool. It's also, you get points awarded for current position, how many cars you passed, and how many laps you lead. I think that's the...
So our lineups would change because, if somebody qualifies on the pole and they finish 10th, they're going to lose 10 points.
Yeah, negative 10 points.
So, like, if Jimmy Johnson doesn't make it through Tech and he starts 40th, I'm starting Jimmy Johnson.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
just
a no-brainer.
You want to get somebody that's going to pass a lot of cars and finish up front.
So with you going there,
I got Logano. So now we're averaging at 78.50.
Yeah, I got one. This is going to be a little bit higher, so I'm going to make you drop down a little bit. But I think that young Ryan Blaney is going to run well at Vegas.
Yeah, I think the Penske guys are good picks.
And then now you've got $7,000.
So that gives me $7,000 to spend.
I know what I would do with that $7,000, but I'm going to let you pick.
Going Paul Menard, dude.
Paul
the Penske
Menardi?
cars are
Wow.
fast. He's fast.
I don't know.
Dude, he ran good. I don't know how he ran this past weekend. But, I mean, he was up there. I mean, if I didn't get Paul Menard, we'll both pick the last pick. So I would pick Paul Menard. He's $6,900, so we made our lineup with $100 to spare.
My last pick. All right, so you got Paul Menard.
I would pick Paul Menard with $6,900.
My last pick's going to go with, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick a Chevrolet. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace. I think he's going to qualify bad, probably, but I think he'll race okay. Mm-hmm. He actually didn't race bad at Atlanta, and then he had a tire go down. So he was still bad because the Chevrolets were bad, but I think he was better. So I think he doesn't qualify that well. I think he races okay. I think at $6,700, I think that's a pretty solid pick. Yeah. But
yeah, for sure.
I think that's not a bad lineup there. I'm actually going to save that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's pretty good. So anyway,
all right.
I think that covers about everything we want to cover tonight. We tried to keep it under an hour. I think we're right there at it, right at an hour. So we accomplished that. I think next time we're gonna do the same thing, same time. Maybe, well, I don't know. We might adjust the time just depending on how that goes. But
yeah, if you've made it this far in the broadcast, you're a hero to us.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Yeah,
we've been bouncing around. We got up in the 20s at one point, and then we went back down to the 10s and stuff, and now everybody's starting to funnel out so they know we're getting ready to get off here. But anyway, if you are still watching, we are going to be back on next week on, I guess, Thursday. Does Thursday work for you? Or?
That's fine right now.
So it's either going to be Thursdays, Tuesdays, we don't know.
I think Tuesdays would be good because if we have some drivers come in, they're going to be gone on Thursday.
Yeah, we might have some special guests come in soon.
Yeah, we got some good stuff coming.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about it's kind of what we plan on doing. We're going to talk about racing most of the time and then have a little bit of other stuff in between. So
wrap it up. I got to pee.
So this guy's got to pee, so it's time to get off here. I appreciate everyone watching. This will be the VOD, video on demand, will be available on YouTube and on Facebook. So
how about that?
Check that out. We'll share it and all that. So yeah, we're also going to send. We're going to put it on a podcast somewhere, just the audio. I got to figure out how to do that. So we'll get that done later. But yeah, so thanks for watching, And we'll do this again next week sometime. We'll keep y'all updated.
Peace.